Hi there, welcome to Elm Colors. I'm Erica, and on today's video we are going to be talking about the Tombow Brush Pens. I recently did a planner page in my Johanna Basford Weekly Planner, and it was this page here where I used only these water-based markers, the brush tips, and maybe just a couple of others that I have in my drawer that are all brush tip markers. But anyway, I used those brush tip markers on this page, and I used it with one of the blender pens to get this cool soft water effect in the background. And I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to show you kind of how I did that and different ways that you can use these pens too. So when you buy the packs of these markers, you will typically get a clear blender marker. And I think this is just, I don't know for sure, but it's water-based as well. I'm not sure what else is in here, but this works really well to help you blend on some papers. Not all papers, but some papers. I went through and tested a whole bunch today, which is why I'm stained everywhere on my hand. Got marker hands. But I'm going to show you a few different types of paper that I used it on and talk about the different ways to use it. So one way is to use these clear blenders that Tombow gives you with your packs. Another way is you can just use a water brush, or you can use a paintbrush and water as well. I also have a couple of other brands of brush markers. So you can see this has got the brush tip. This is one from a craft store called Michael's. This one is actually, I think this should be available on Amazon. These are the Zig brushables, and each tip has a brush tip, so these ones work really well in conjunction with these. And then of course you've got your Crayola Super Tips, not a brush tip but still a water-based marker, so you can get kind of the same effect in some of the ways. Oh, and then also I have my handy dandy palette, I guess. It's just a really smooth, slick piece of something. I don't know. I think it was even like it might have been a Tombow blender. I don't know. But I'll show you how to use that and some of the other ways, and I'll show you some examples of things that I did today. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so first we're going to talk about one of my successes today. There was a few successes and a few failures, so let's start with the positive. So I did this page, and I did add some gel pen on top, but that was at the very end. But everything else was done with the markers. And I mainly used the technique to pick up the color off of the marker and then put it on the paper with the colorless blender. And I will show you how to do that in just a second. We're going to work, again, I think in my Johanna planner, because I know that that works well in that book. And it's really, I've only found three-ish books that worked well with this technique, where you, in the Johanna planner, I could actually put the marker on the paper and then use the colorless blender to spread the color out. To where this one, once I put the marker down on the paper, it was kind of just there, and I wasn't able to blend it a whole lot. Anyway, so I thought this was a cute little page, and I wanted to show that and show you that you can get a neat watercolory look using those markers. Okay, so I will say, let me show you the other two books that I found out that it worked pretty well in. Rosanna's books. Of course, the paper is wonderful. I'll show you the little sample that I did, the little tree there. And that's just a quick one. This one, again, was one where you couldn't necessarily just color on it and then blend. You had to pull the color off of the pen. And again, I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. And then the other one was in the Coloring Heaven Chibi. And I did this one. I'm hoping you can see all of that. It turned out pretty cute, I think. And this is really a really loose watercolory style so far. And then you can always go over top of this with pencils, or just keep going in with your markers actually and blending it out. But you have to be very careful about making sure to let things dry in between time, because you can see this is pretty crinkly. The other thing that you have to remember when you use this technique, it works best on pages that are single-sided, because it does have a tendency to bleed through, if you can see that on there. So yeah, single-sided pages typically work best. This one even did bleed through a little bit, but I didn't mind on this page. So if you're willing to sacrifice the page behind, then yes, you can totally use that. And then a couple of ones that didn't work so well. This one is in the Jasmine Beckett Griffith Fantasy Adventure coloring book. Around her face here, that's my fault. The rest of it worked pretty well. So for her hair here, I used the marker as a watercolor. On the wings and the face, I did put the color down and spread it out. So that worked decently well. It's not my favorite, and you do have to be super careful with this one because it will start peeling up your paper. I was able to get this black orchid to look pretty cool. I am going to go in and add some little things, and around her face and stuff here, I will probably go in with pencil and make that look a little bit better. But yeah, this book was okay with it. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. So we might actually, I might do a little bit on this one to show you as well. Other paper that I tried, I did try in the Maria Trolle book. This leaf here is where I attempted to put it right on the paper and then go from there. And then I used these leaves were all done using them as a watercolor, which that worked fine enough. Anything that takes watercolor, you can totally use that. But when you're doing the marker to paper, that's when it'll start to bleed through. And then I used it on a Creative Haven book, Create Space paper book, and let me show you this. Oh my goodness. And then I did on this Hatchet Heroes Princesses book. This was just playing, so but you can see here, this section right here is where I put down the marker first and tried to blend over top of it. That didn't work great. Here, it did okay because I put some in the corners, blended it outward, but then I did have to go over top of it with some watercolor to soften that blend. But yeah, it worked okay. And then this one right here is where I blended the two markers together. It's really, I mean, it's messy, but you can kind of see it did blend, but it also bled right through the page. So, and then this was just using the markers as watercolor. So this is all just playing around, trying out different stuff. Yeah, let me show you one more thing. Oh, so in this Snow White book, if you've seen my completed pages, my collection videos, I did an experiment in this book where I put clear gesso over top of this page because I wanted to see how it worked. And so all of this in the background here is, I want to say that those are watercolor pencils, I think. And then today I went over the certain parts of the trees to highlight and darken some of the shadows. And then I went over Snow White here, her hair. I added some blush on her cheeks, added some color, some sparkles to the to her dress. And I think that turned out pretty good. If you've got it, like I said, ready. Oh, and I did these leaves over here. Those were all done just putting the marker to paper and using the colorless blender. So if you've got it prepped for watercolor, these would be perfect. And it's easy to apply the color and easy to spread it out. So, yeah. And I don't necessarily hate this now. So before it was not my favorite, but I can continue to work on it, I think, and make it, maybe actually finish this page at some point. Okay, so let's do, I think I am going to work in this book, and then I'll also show you a little bit in the Johanna Basford book. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways of ways that I would do it. I am going to grab a skin color here. Let's do, what's this color look like? It's really smart to have a scrap piece of paper nearby so that you can test out your colors and also to protect the page underneath. You know what? I think I might give her some green skin. What do we think? I think that'd be okay. So I've got this light green color. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. And so first, we're going to do it straight to paper and show you kind of how that works. So let's do her hand here so you can see. Well, you know what? I'm going to move you closer so that you can see. Hang on just a sec. Okay, and before I even start, I'm going to make sure that my lids are off of both of my markers. I'm going to just add a little bit of color right where the shadow areas would be. Make sure my brush marker is clean. And then you can see that just kind of spreads that color out just a tad, just a little bit. So I'll do it again here on the arm so you can see it better. And you'll be able to this is definitely the best paper that I found to use this technique, where you just use the blender right on the paper. And we'll get the rest of her arm done here. And the nice thing is you can always come back in and add more later on. Yeah, I'm not sure how I want to do her. Yeah, we'll just color all this in here as well. Okay, so there's her arms. Another way that you can do it, so I've got this slick board here, and you can color right on the board. So you can see that it leaves a little bit of color behind. You can then use the same colorless blender, come in and pick up that color and color right on the page. And this will wear off after a little bit, so you kind of can get a watercolor effect on occasion if you move in circles out from the place where you started. So I'm going to do that again. One more time, we're going to start at the cheek and move into her face here. So you can see the difference between these two. This is a lot lighter effect, which is normal. The same thing will happen if we try to do a watercolor, or I'm sorry, the water brush, or just a paintbrush and water. Okay, so this is one of the other brands. This is just still a water-based marker, but I'm going to color her hair this color a little bit. And the nice thing about this is you can then mix colors. So I'm going to add in a little bit of her skin color to kind of green up that color that I made. So first I'm just going to use my water brush, and I can take this color into here, and then I've made like this new greeny aqua color. And I'm going to use that. Let's use that on her hair. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to follow this way. I want to not get into the skin if I can avoid it. So there, you can kind of see how quick and easy that is to do with the water brush. And then you can do the same thing with just a regular paintbrush. So I've got some water off screen here. I'm just dipping it in there, and then I'm going to grab some of this color. Same kind of thing. You just paint it on, and this is a little more watered down only because I just added water to my brush. The more you go, the more watered down it will be too. So you can always come back in and add. So we want a little bit more green in here, and we want a little bit more of that turquoise color. And then you can stir that all around again and get that color back to kind of where it was. There we go. And then we just color that in. Trying to figure out where her that's all her hair, I think. That's the dragon's tail. I think that's her wing. That would make sense. So, real quick and easy, great for laying down a base layer of color quickly, so that you can then go in and add your detailing in pencil. And base layers never they don't have to be neat. You can go in as messy as you like. So now for her skin, maybe let's add, I'm just gonna add like two little stripes for that. I'm going to create another layer, another color. Yeah, sometimes it makes that terrible sound, if you guys could hear that at all. So I made another kind of tone out of that, and I'm going to just add it along the edges here, wherever the shadows would be, maybe. And then you can come in with a clean water brush and just kind of blend that out a little bit. Yeah, and pages like this always look like a hot mess before you do the detail work. So I am going to use the rest of this little color, and I'm going to add that to her lips here. So they're a little bit different color. But anyway, you can kind of see how that works in this book. So we did, okay, so the other one I need to show you is the technique where you take it straight from the marker with the colorless blender. So let me get my Johanna planner out, and I'll get set up for that one. Hang on just a sec. Okay, so this paper I know for sure will work wonderfully. I am going to go ahead and put a page behind it just to protect whatever's underneath. And then I'm going to grab one of my colorless blenders here. And so I've got a nice light purple. First I'm going to show you what it looks like just colored straight on the paper. And I'm going to try to blend this out if I can. It blends a little bit, but not, yeah. And I'm going to go from this way. And then again, I'm going to blend that. And what this blender does on this paper is it just removes that harsh edge that was there. So let me try this technique. So when I do this, I hold my pen almost vertical so that it will, sorry about that. Hold on a second. There we go. Sorry. So I hold my pen almost vertical so that all of the ink flows to the base. And then I hold, I'm going to show you right here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. It'll focus on me. I hold my tip right to the edge of the other tip and it picks up that color. So then I can come in and I can use that color until it kind of disappears. So I'll show you again. You can see it just kind of fades out, which is really nice. I like this a lot. And then you can come back in and add in more at the top and keep fading it out, and it will just kind of blend itself out. And I really like that technique. Let me show you with a super tip. You kind of do the same thing, although these don't always want to cooperate. Oh, this one did. But you can just use it just kind of like a watercolor. I really like this technique a lot when it works. I was very surprised that this paper worked so well with these. I have not, and then, you know, going through and experimenting with all of the other ones to find out that not everything worked like this. Yeah, it was really surprising. So let me do these other little stems. Let me show you again. So I can color a little bit at the base of this leaf and then come in and spread that color out as much as I want. So there you go. It's pretty simple. And it makes the page that you're doing go really, really quickly. Let me show you kind of a neat way to do the background here. This one's a pretty bright one. I'm not sure if this will work quite the same way. But when I was doing my backgrounds, I would start in the darkest areas and then work my way out into the lighter areas and bring that color out so that you already get like your two-tone color, if that makes sense. And then you can also use a scrap piece of paper to get some of that color off if you don't have it, if it's too dark for you when you start. Like, see right there, I think those are too dark. So I'm using a scrap piece of paper I've got here to the side, and then I'll just come back in and blend that back out. And again, that one's a little dark, so then I'll come back in and again just tap it. And that way you can kind of see how you can get the variations in the one, it's one marker, but you can get different depths of color. Yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, it's pretty easy to use it that way, and this paper was really good, and you can still just go in and color. Oh, the other thing that I did on this paper was I had, let's see, I need a different yellow that I can blend with this one. We'll try that one. Okay, so we're gonna go up here to these yellows. So I've got 2 yellows, and I've got both my caps off so that I can work quickly. So I'm gonna put my dark shade down first, and then I'm gonna come in with the light shade, and you can almost use this as a colorless blender, not a color, but a blender. And you can get, again, a couple different tones. By using this lighter marker as the blender. Yeah, and it's not, I mean, it's pretty subtle, but when I did all of the leaves on that fishy page, that's what I ended up doing. I used 2 different greens to get the blending. the right way. And basically all you're doing when you're blending this is just making sure that that harsh line from the marker is gone. Let me get a little bit of color in this part right here. And then I can come back in with this light yellow again. Yeah, this paper, these markers work like magic on this paper. And the only other, second closest one that I found was the Jasmine Beckett Griffith ones, but you have to really be careful that the paper's dry before you try to blend again, because otherwise it'll peel. So yeah, so that's basically it. Let's get that Jasmine Beckett Griffith one back out here and see if it is. Okay, so this is still a little bit wet, but I think that we would be okay to go in and add some more shading. So I think what I'm going to try to do on this one is I'm going to use the tip to tip technique with this dark color, and I'm going to go in wherever there might be a nice different tone in the hair, and add a little bit of that color in. And this is one where I don't necessarily think I would do the whole page with the blender pen, but I would definitely use it as a base, just because it would go so much faster. But you can kind of see how you can add in subtle shading and different things like that with it too. Yeah, this is all work that's probably way better for pencil work, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of some of the other things that you could do. Let's see, what else could we do really quick? Do we have a good color for her eyes? What color is this one? Ooh, that's a nice dark one. Let's see if this will work. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a little bit at the very top here, and then we're going to pull that color down and around. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Again, color right at the tops, and then pull that color and cleaning off your brush as you want it to get lighter and lighter. And you do have to work pretty quickly so that this doesn't completely dry, but this paper doesn't soak it up so fast. I think that's what the difference is between the papers, is how fast it will soak up the medium you're using. And now if I want this even darker, I can come back in with my marker again. Add some more right there, blend it out a little bit. And again right here. Oop, I want to make sure that's not bleeding through onto my, yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, so there you can see kind of how you get the variations in the color. So I hope that that was helpful. And at the end of this video, I will post finished pictures of these two lovely ladies and probably this Johanna Basford one. I will definitely finish this whole thing in just the Tombow markers, but these guys will be, the rest of it will be based with marker and then pencil over top, and I will show you how those look. Thanks so much for watching today, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!